Good evening, everyone. My name is Cantor Kurtschmidt, and I am joining you from my family room, but from the community of Zion Evangelical Lutheran Church in Deerfield Beach, Florida. And we're here tonight with Ana Cristina Ojeda from Trustbridge, who will be sharing with us a presentation on the most wonderful time of the year, or is it really, strategies to survive and thrive in the holiday season stress-free, or at least minimal stress. So I want to thank Ana for being with us this evening, and thank all of you who are joining us on Zoom and on Facebook. And I'm going to make Ana the host of our presentation and turn it over to her.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. As Kurt said, I'm Ana Cristina Ojeda. I'm the outreach coordinator at Trustbridge. Trustbridge is a nonprofit foundation that offers hospice and palliative care. It was formerly Hospice of Palm Beach and Hospice by the Sea, and now we're under the umbrella of Trustbridge. And I will go ahead and give my presentation that's about the holidays and how to manage holiday season, because we all know that it can be a little bit stressful at times, but I will help you out as much as possible on teaching you techniques on how to cope with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Let's see. Okay. Can you see my first slide? Perfect. All right, so here we are. All righty, so coping with the holidays. Is it the most wonderful time of the year? Could it be, could it not? How do we go about it? So managing stress and the holidays. It's our presentation. The objectives are pretty straightforward. We're going to define stress, but stress directly related to the holidays. And you're going to see that there's an acronym that's kind of funny. You will be able to remember what it stands for in terms of the holiday season. Then we're going to identify the impacts of stress on a daily basis during holiday time. We're going to discuss the relationship between depression and stress. We're also going to identify ways to reframe the holiday events with new experiences and survival skills. And we're going to review the impact of compassion fatigue on caregivers who have an ill family member. We include this here in the presentations because, as I mentioned before, we're a nonprofit that provides hospice and palliative care. So if you were to have a family member who is terminally ill or is sick at home, this is going to help you because the holidays can be a difficult time as well if you are a caregiver. So we have this picture of the perfect holiday that's shown in Hollywood movies, and we call it the Hollywood holidays, where everything is perfect, there's plenty of presents, everybody's behaving, there's no arguing, everybody's dressed nice. It's like the Martha Stewart picture perfect. The food comes out beautifully, the house is clean and perfectly decorated. Everybody's well, healthy, and happy. This is the hallmark version of a holiday, but is it really true? Because holidays can bring a mixed emotions to families, to caregivers, to patients, to everybody. The rosy glow of Christmas lights and Hanukkah candles can also serve as a highlight of the pain that people can be feeling at the moment. So how do we deal with that? It's not always as perfect as we see it on the television. So something important to keep in mind are the expectations that we put on ourselves, or the expectations that society puts on ourselves, and the demands that holidays represent. We need to keep in mind that traditions and holiday traditions can change, because what you did last year and the year before is not necessarily how you're going to celebrate the holidays this year. Things change, family relationships changes. Like with COVID right now, A lot of people are not going to be able to travel to gather together for holiday celebrations. So a good thing to start with is to remember that traditions and holidays, how they're celebrated, can definitely change. To bring that expectation of the perfect scenario a little down, and more in line with your own expectations, what it is that you really want to do during the holiday season. There may be demands and wishes of others. So, are you going to take them into consideration or not? And everybody will be happy and well. It's an expectation, but sometimes it's a little unrealistic. So again, try to keep in mind the things that are important to you and try to be realistic. Don't try to pretend that you're in a Hollywood movie, that everything is going to be perfect. And keep in mind that it's good to be flexible. We were talking about that at the beginning, Kurt and I. It's good to be flexible because things change, things happen, and you have to adapt and move forward. If you cannot dwell on the things that you're missing, of the things that have changed. So then we often get the reality instead, because we have all those perfect expectations of the Hollywood movie, the Martha Stewart picture perfect, and then boom, reality hits us. We see that you may be grieving the loss of a loved one. Maybe you're taking care of someone who's ill. Maybe, again, people cannot travel from other states or other countries because of the current situations. Maybe you're feeling blue or you're feeling sad because of infertility issues, and the holidays bring that back to mind because there's a lot of children around. So, reality does hit you, and it hits you hard if you have really high expectations or you're striving for perfection. So if you consider what you're dealing with and you align your expectations to what you're dealing with at the moment, you're definitely going to be able to enjoy the time more. So this is what I was mentioning, the stress. What's the definition of stress? But the holiday definitions. I'm a big stressed out person when it comes to holidays, because I used to fall into that, the high expectation things, that I want everything to be perfect. I want to be able to buy gifts for everybody. I'm running errands all day long, and then I end up exhausted. So I saw this definition of stress, and it really spoke to me. The S is the strain of shopping, because again, you're trying to please everybody and show everybody that you care. So you're buying gifts everywhere. You're tired, you're exhausted, you're fatigued, you're emotionally and mentally drained. And if you're dealing with a diagnosis or a family member who's ill, then you're even more tired of taking care. Then remembering, because during the holiday season, and people call it the holiday blues, you tend to reminisce a lot about the past, about loved ones, about how things were before. So the holiday season tend to increase grief reactions in people. And also something comes up that's called anticipatory grief. That's when you know of someone that may have been diagnosed with an illness. It could be Alzheimer's, it could be cancer, whatever it may be, and you start grieving before the fact. So you're and this happens during the holidays because you feel guilty, because you're feeling joyful of celebrating the holidays and getting in the mood, in the holiday mood, but then you also feel guilty because you should be grieving for the loved one that may leave you anytime soon. So it's a little overwhelming to deal with all those emotions. The E for expenses, because we all know we tend to spend a lot of money during the holidays with buying food and presents and cards and all that stuff. The social gatherings increase. You want to be in too many places, you want to see too many people. Again, things are going to change now. We may gather via Zoom more, But still you have to plan accordingly because you cannot be in two places at the same time. And then the last S is that it's so much. We overindulge in food, in drink, in gatherings, and it tends to be really overwhelming. So this is the stress definition based on holidays, and I think it really represents the truth. So what do we do with all that? I'm not going to bombard you with all the negative things. Then how do we manage this stress? So first is to recognize the four triggers of stress and depression, especially during the holiday season. The four main triggers, and they not all may apply to you. Maybe only one applies to you. Maybe you have different triggers, but these are the main ones that could trigger stress and depression, especially during the holiday season. Family relationships are triggers if people don't get along, if again somebody lost a loved one, if you're far from each other, if people are apart, if you're in other countries or other states, this could trigger stress and depression. Then finances are a big trigger. Again, the holidays are about abundance, buying things, making food, inviting people over, gatherings, and all that means spending a lot of money. So if you are on a tight budget, this could be a big trigger for stress and depression on you. Then another one is physical demands. If you have to do a lot of things, if you do a lot of errands, if you are the main caregiver, caretaker of your home, if you're caring for an ill person at home, or if you're in charge of the kids, the spouse, the grandparents, and everything, it's physically exhausting. That obviously is a big trigger of stress and depression. And last one is what I was mentioning before, anticipatory grief. It's a big trigger because you're obviously going to feel sad and depressed and stressed out if you're feeling that you're scared that you're going to be losing that loved one soon, and perhaps before the holidays, or even if it's after, you're still debating on how you want to spend the holiday, if it's the last one or not. So it's all these emotions that are going through your head, and how do we deal with them? So going in depth about family relationships, these are some of the things that could be going with your family that could trigger stress and depression. So as I was saying, you could be apart from your family, could be kids over at college, you could have family in the military, there could be misunderstandings and conflicts in the family that tend to intensify during the holidays because it's maybe you have been able to put those aside because you live apart, but then when everybody gets together in the house and start discussing topics where people are not necessarily in agreement, then the conflicts intensify. And then memories of loved ones who have already passed away, or those currently diagnosed with a terminal illness, could again add stress to the mix. The finances, the overspending or lack of money, buying gifts, if you're traveling, again, those things change a little now with COVID. But if your plans of going away to go to a big gathering with the family, those affect you money wise. So those are big stressors. Your physical demands, if you're taking care of a loved one. And as I was saying, the anticipatory grief is the grim limbo that is between a terminal illness diagnosis and death, that you don't really know how to handle it, if you feel joy for the moment that you have, or feel sadness for the ones that you're not going to have. So, but if you think about it, this gives the whole family time to prepare for the loss, and they can incorporate the loved one in all the plans for the holiday season. So one thing that we need to remember is that the higher the expectations, the greater the disappointment. So as I was saying before, traditions are changing. Dynamics in families change. It's inevitable. There are new babies coming up, people that leave us, you move, teenagers go to college, others go to different countries. So the dynamics in the family are always going to change. So if you keep that in mind, then you're going to be able to have more joy during the holidays. Do not live up to an imagined ideal that is going to be the perfect family, that everybody's going to gather together at all times in every single holiday celebration, that everybody's going to be in agreement on the same topics, that everybody's going to behave, that you're going to have abundance in money and food and everything every single year, because that's not realistic. And other people think about also being alone at a time when others are with their families. That can be a big stressor. So don't ever think about that. If you don't have family, reach out to friends, reach out to the community, find a way, again, that works for you, that you can find the joy during the holidays. So now how do we do that? First, we're going to try to find the meaning during the holidays. Find something spiritual and wonderful in your life. Let go of negative thoughts. Find value in yourself, your importance. You have something to offer. Use the occasion to not only to receive love, but to give it. And we always have the tendency of thinking that to show love, we have to give an actual thing. But you can give of your time, and that's way more precious. You can give somebody a call. You can send a note. You can, nowadays, nobody writes actual notes, but you can send somebody a note, write an actual letter saying thank you for whatever it is that you feel thankful for to that other person. Give out love and then you'll get it back. Those are called joy boomerangs. You give out joy and then in return you get joy, because you're going to feel grateful of something good that you did. And then the love and the joy of the season is about the love and the joy that we share. Again, try to give that somebody a call. Now we're not going to be able maybe to gather together so much, but there's this beautiful thing called Zoom and Facebook Live. So you can connect to a lot of people. Make sure you tell your loved ones that you love them. Make sure that you call, make sure that you're present, and find the meaning in what you're celebrating, not just focus on the physical objects that maybe you can give or receive. So what are the 10 tips for coping with the holidays, with the holiday blues, with the wonderful time of the year? So there are several things that we can do to help us survive the holidays with less stress. We're going to review them to identify what can help us to eliminate some stress in our lives and help others that may be experiencing some difficulty, because maybe you have this down. Maybe you are a true lover of the holidays. You go through them without a hiccup, but maybe you know of someone that may need a little extra help and a little bit of support. So it's good to know about this. Remember that not everyone delights in all the festivities and joy. So if you see somebody struggling, feeling sad, maybe you can help them. Be empathetic, because you may have all your children and you're super happy because you're enjoying the holidays with all your children, but then you have a friend who lost her child and she's feeling really sad. Well, you can be empathetic and see how you can help, how you can be present to that person. Again, it's about the joy that we give as well. So people from all walks of life may feel depressed or sad during the holidays, especially if they're experiencing health or family problems. So make sure that during this time you think about those that were just recently diagnosed with a terminal illness, who have had hardship, who are going through a difficult time. Keep them in mind as we go through these tips. So tip number 1 is acknowledge your feelings. So give yourself permission to express your feelings. You're allowed to feel sad. You're allowed to feel angry. You're allowed to be grieving. If a loved one has died or is nearing death, it's normal to feel sadness or grief. If you're suffering or have gone through infertility issues, It's okay if you're feeling sad during these times because you would love to have children around you of your own and that hasn't been possible yet. It's okay. Give yourself permission to do that. You can cry and express your feelings. You cannot force yourself to be happy just because it's the holiday season. So, first of all, acknowledge how you're feeling. Give yourself permission of that feeling. Maybe write it down, maybe have a journal where you can let go of those feelings, maybe call a friend or a loved one who you can share your feelings with, and then move on if possible. Next one, as I was just saying, they go together, is to seek support, because sharing your thoughts and feelings with others may be the best way to get through them. So you can call a family or friend, you can reach out to your church, to your social service support group, to hospice staff. You don't have to go through it alone. If you're feeling the holiday blues, if you're feeling sad, stressed, depressed, you need to reach out to others. Don't go it alone. It can be a good opportunity to meet others that are going through the same thing as you. And there's no biggest thing that can help you to know that you're not alone, that others are going through the same thing as you. Because sometimes we feel like, oh my God, I'm this weird person that's going through all this. Nobody's going to understand. Everybody has their perfect little lives. And here I am going through all this. But then you go to find out that there's other people going through the same, and they can give you feedback. They can tell you what they did to move on and to go through it, and that can definitely be beneficial. Also, I was mentioning before about joy boomerangs. Volunteering is a big joy boomerang. If you're feeling sad, there's nothing that people on studies would consider and recommend more than volunteering, because the fact that you're giving of yourself to others, giving joy and providing quality time to others will in return immediately bring you joy and peace to yourself. So whenever you have the opportunity to volunteer, do so, because it will definitely help you. And you may be able to talk through your emotions as you're doing that. Then they always recommend to be realistic. As I was saying before, traditions may change over time, so be flexible and open to creating new traditions. As family grows, things change. Hold on to traditions that you wish to keep, but be flexible to new ones. Find new and inexpensive ways to celebrate from afar. You can share pictures via email, you can FaceTime, you can Zoom, you can do Facebook Live watch parties. You can offer yourself some grace. So, but be realistic. Things are definitely going to change. Don't beat yourself up if this year's holiday, 2020, looks different than 2019. It was a totally different time. So things are going to definitely be different. Like, for example, this weekend is Halloween. My kids are already asking how is trick-or-treating going to be. And my daughter immediately said, you know what, mommy, we can trick-or-treat inside the house. We go door by door. We make little stations in the house. We trick-or-treat inside the house. She's already being very realistic, but she's not beating herself up. She's like, you know what? This year is just different, and we're going to do it this way, and we're still going to have fun. So that's a good thing. We can always learn from children. Children are so quick to understanding these things. But again, just understand that every year is different. Then it's also good to set differences aside. Be understanding and have compassion and empathy for each other. You are not alone. Try to accept family members as they are and meet them where they're not, where we think they should be. Set aside grievances until a more appropriate time. It's never a good time to start discussing big things or big ideas during a holiday dinner. If you're having Thanksgiving dinner, that's not exactly the best moment to talk about politics or talk about big issues. It's a time to talk about the family, reminisce about beautiful times together, talk about memories, but do not bring a topic that's stressful and that can start confrontation. During holidays and especially during a holiday dinner. Be understanding, and others in the family may be suffering the effects of holiday stress also. So keep that in mind. Be empathetic. Some people may be grieving, some people may be going through financial hardship. So don't put any extra pressure on them by confronting them. So make sure you're being empathetic as well and set differences aside. Also, a good tip is to stick to a budget. Before going shopping, decide how much money you can afford to spend on the holiday and stick to that budget. If you don't stick to it, then it's when you're going to feel anxious, stressed out, depressed. And I'm a big believer on the next tip. Some recommend using cash and not using credit cards. Why? Because you're using exactly what you have available. When you use credit cards, you think you have all this money available, that come next month, you have this huge bill to pay, and then it's more headaches and more stress. Make sure you use what you have, and then you forget about it, and that's done. Then you don't have to keep thinking about the bill that you have to pay for months and months to come. You paid it, it's done. You can forget about it and enjoy it. Don't try to avalanche on gifts. Try to donate to charity. And if you can, mention those things. I can't remember the name right now, it escapes me, where you do the game and you only gift one gift per family. You pick a name out, and then instead of having to give 20 presents, you give out only one. That would be a good thing to do as well, because you don't add that much stress to the other people in the family that perhaps are going through financial hardship. And you can give homemade gifts. You can make cards, you can make cookies, you can bake cake, something that's homemade. It's always a good idea. Planning ahead, set aside specific days for shopping, for baking, for visiting. Make a plan, because when it gets overwhelming is when you have too many things to do and you don't know where to begin. Or maybe you get confused and you overlap events. You were supposed to visit this aunt this day, and then you realize that you're already visiting another friend that day. So make sure you have a calendar, make sure you have a list of the things that you have to do, and try to get organized and plan ahead. Set aside specific days for holiday center activities. If there's something, a tradition that's important for you to keep, let's say, for example, going to the pumpkin patch, and you want everybody in the family to join you, or as many as possible. Plan ahead. Tell everybody, okay, on Thursday at this time at this pumpkin patch, we're all going to be there and we're going to take our pictures together. If it's important to you, make sure it's at the top priority of your list, and then go after that. Then learn to say no. And this is very important. We need to learn how to say no graciously, of course. You're not going to be rude. You're not going to be mean when you say no. But when you say yes to everything is when you start to get overwhelmed and stressed out. So you can say no and be thankful for whatever the request was. For example, oh, Ana Cristina, can you please join us to this party that we have on such and such day? You say, no, but thank you so much for considering me, but I'm not available at this time. You don't have to be wishy-washy with your answer. You don't have to create excuses. Just say no and acknowledge the person for thinking of you, but don't commit to yourself to too many things that then you're not going to be able to do, or it's going to end up being way too stressful, way too exhausting on you, and then you're not helping anyone. So if you want to avoid feeling resentful or overwhelmed later, make sure you say no graciously to those things that you think, you don't really have to do or commit to. If it is impossible to say no, then remove something else from your agenda. Because if what they're asking you to do is something that you truly believe is important, then check that calendar that you were doing before and look for something that is not as important and take it off, or put it away for a different day. Okay. Then number 8 is do not abandon healthy habits. And why is this important? Because during the holidays, we tend to overindulge in food and drink, and that's definitely not good for you. First of all, before we forget, never, ever, 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 ever drink and drive. That's never a good thing to do. So make sure that you make room for healthy snacks and you have a schedule for exercise or stretching. Make sure you're drinking enough water. Make sure that they're healthy snacks during the parties and dinners that you're attending. Have your veggie plates, have your fruit platters, have things that are healthy readily available, because if all you have in display is not as healthy, it's only junk or fried food or that kind of thing, but and you don't see a salad or a fruit, then you're not going to eat it. But if you put a salad out there and a fruit platter, most likely you're going to at least have a piece. And make sure you're continuing your physical activity and keep your rituals as much as possible. Then take a breather. Dedicate 15 minutes alone without distractions. Sometimes that can be really hard. I'm a mom of two little ones, and that can be really hard. But sometimes your quiet time can be take a shower, go to the bathroom, go for a 10-minute walk, but have some time to breathe, to take a bath, to pray, to read, to listen to some soothing music. Find something that can give you peace of mind for at least 15 minutes. If it's 15, it's impossible, at least give yourself 5 minutes, but 5 minutes that you can recharge and keep going with the day and the craziness of the holidays. And then if you have done all of these things, if you have tried it all, you still feel sad and lonely, try to seek for professional help. If you feel persistent sadness and loneliness, multiple physical complaints, you're very irritable, anxious, you cannot sleep, you're not being able to get out of bed to do your daily chores, make sure that you seek out for help. Trustbridge has a telehealth consultation. At the end, I'll show you the numbers. You can call and have one-on-one consultations, and they're 100% free. Or you can look at your insurance and find a therapist or a doctor that can help you. But definitely, if you're feeling truly sad, you should try to seek for professional help. Now, the next, after those 10 tips that, by the way, I forgot to mention, they're from Mayo Clinic, it's important to create memories. This is mostly if, and I'm pretty sure that almost all of us who are here, and those of you who are watching, have lost someone at some point in your life. It's good to use the holidays to create memories, from the ones who are here and the ones who have lost, who we have loved. So something that we did in my family, for example, the first few holidays when we lost my nephew, we made sure that he had a seat at the table. So we set his name card on the table, and we made sure that we included the food that he enjoyed, and he was present with us during the meal. You can create scrapbooks with the family. You can make family trees. You can do some sort of tribute to a loved one that, again, you have lost, or that maybe is ill and you're scared that maybe you're going to lose them in the future. You can make sure that the holidays are a time to create memories, and create memories for those that are left behind. Also, take lots of pictures, look for positive memories, light a candle in somebody's honor. You can create an ornament for the tree in somebody's honor. So make sure that you're creating memories and you're finding the joy and keeping the spirit during the holidays, trying to practice those 10 tips: acknowledging feelings, seeking support, being realistic, setting differences aside, sticking to a budget, planning ahead, saying no graciously, eating healthy or having healthy habits, taking a breather, and seeking for professional help. So when you're stressed out or depressed or anxious during the holidays, we recommend to rethink resolutions. So what you can do is to plan small goals when you're stressed out, and your chance for success will increase. Set a reasonable time frame. For example, and what we were saying, don't have these extremely high expectations. Be realistic. You want to stay healthy. You want to make sure that you walk, but you're not going to say, oh, by next week I want to have walked 100 miles in total. Do you think that's realistic? Are you able to walk that many miles per day? Perhaps give yourself some grace and say, by the end of the week, I want to be able to walk at least 10 minutes a day. And when you achieve that goal, you're going to feel excellent about yourself because it was attainable. Then you can increase it the next time, but make sure you're being realistic again, because what the only thing that you're going to do if you set way too high expectations that are unrealistic, when you don't achieve them, you're going to feel more anxious and more depressed, and that's not helping the case. So what you want to do is to set a goal that you know that you can achieve to feel successful and decrease those levels of anxiety and sadness that you had. Don't try to change your whole life to make up for past excuses. So I never ate healthy, and now starting today, I'm going to be completely vegetarian and I'm going to change all my habits overnight. Again, it's not realistic. So, baby steps. Oh, I'm going to eat a little more salad every meal. I'm going to introduce a new fruit every day or something like that, that again is attainable and is realistic. Adopt a healthy lifestyle to improve your health and well being. So, again, just make sure that you're sleeping enough, that you're having a healthy diet, that you're stretching or exercising. That's only going to help your mood. Now, stop is to find your stop sign. So, what can you do to break away from the stress for a moment? And think about it. What could you literally do? If you're feeling stressed out, the first thing you need to do is stop and think about what's making you feel like that. Maybe walk away. Maybe go put some water in your face, wash your face. Maybe say a prayer or an affirmation or a mantra. Do something for yourself if you're feeling stressed out. If you have the opportunity, maybe go get a massage, go get your nails done, go for a walk your pet, call a friend that has an incredible sense of humor and is going to make you laugh the minute you call. So, again, don't just think that you're alone there. Do something about it to help yourself. Reevaluate how and where you want to be. So I'm feeling extremely sad right now, but I don't want to feel extremely sad right now. What do I have to do to feel better about it? So do the work, go for your walk, call a friend, read something, okay? But you have to take the time to stop and evaluate how you're feeling and where you're at. Then another suggestion to deal with the holiday blues, and perhaps if they have changed drastically from prior years, is finding an alternative way to celebrate. This is an old presentation that we had, so I don't think going on a cruise or traveling are the best ideas right now in 2020, but perhaps find a different way to celebrate. Have meet at a parking lot and gather together, social distance apart, have a cookout outside, go camping or to the beach in small groups. Find a different way to do the holidays. If this one perhaps is the first one of a big drastic change that you really think it's affecting you emotionally, then give it a twist. Do something different. Find an alternative way to celebrate it that maybe you never thought of doing before, but now is the time to do. Go on a road trip, perhaps. Maybe traveling by car would be a good idea. Or have a huge Zoom party where everybody from everywhere can see each other. Or maybe, I don't know, Christmas, you used to be super fancy. Now this year is going to be a PJs celebration, or the opposite. Maybe you used to celebrate in PJs, and now this year everybody's going to have their best outfits in Sunday best, everybody. So just try to give it an alternative and fun way that can bring you joy, and again bring your spirits up during the season. These are some tips on what you should see or look for in members of your family to see if they are really feeling the stress and the holiday effects. So that you could see that they have increased demands, that they have depression, that they are isolating themselves, that they have increased physical complaints or ailments, that they're feeling angry. So these are things that you're going to notice on family members that are totally different or out of the ordinary of how they usually are. Somebody that is always usually very positive and happy go lucky, and all of a sudden they don't want to leave the room and they don't want to talk to anyone and they really don't want to participate in any activities. Definitely would be a sign that they're feeling depressed and anxious about the season. So try to approach them and find out what's going on and how you could help. Again, the key is be empathetic. Try to put yourself in the other one's shoes and see what's going on from their perspective. And we're almost done. Lastly, we want to remind everybody to keep the spirit. Feeling bad during the holidays can be normal and expected. As we said, you can feel sad. It's okay. You don't have to pretend that you're not, but you have the power and the control to do something about it. So again, if you evaluate it, if you notice that you're feeling this way, okay, what can I do about it? And if definitely you don't have the power or the ability to do something about it yourself because you have tried immensely, then ask someone for help. Ask and reach out for help from a loved one, from your church, from professional help, but try to find the help because the holidays are a beautiful time. They are indeed a beautiful time if we look at them the way we should without adding any extra stress to ourselves. Look around you, find something wonderful about yourself, about your life, about the people who are in your life. Maybe write yourself a holiday newsletter where you list 3 things of what you're grateful for and at least one thing that you have accomplished during this year. I'm sure you have plenty of things that you feel that you can celebrate about yourself, about what you have accomplished, even if it is as silly as I'm eating more salads. There's always something that you can feel accomplished about. Um, Try to bring an activity for a volunteer place. Try to create a gift on your own that you can give somebody special. You can decorate ornaments. You can write thank you letters to people that you know. So try to keep this spirit up. And don't forget, but definitely do not forget to take care of yourself. So that is my part. Do we have any questions, comments, anything that anyone would like to add?
I just want to say I'm so glad that we are including this on our Facebook Live and able to retain it because I know that, as with our last presentation on the 5 wishes, I'm going to be getting on the phone and getting on my email and telling people, listen, you missed out. You need to check this out. You described the best and worst of our family holidays throughout the years. And really, as we are looking in our own family this year to the first set of holidays without the matriarch of the family, a lot of these suggestions are incredibly timely. And if for no other reason, I'm grateful that you were here to share with us.
Thank you so much.
Evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, really, Anna, there were so many good points about what anybody could do. And even though it's good advice for anybody in a normal year, we're
Mhm.
certainly not in a normal time right now.
Exactly.
And that's just phenomenal. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, definitely. This is an interesting year. There are going to be interesting holidays, and we all need to try to be flexible. So thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm going to reclaim the host from you if that's okay.
Go for it.
Uh,
Yes. Sorry.
No, that's fine. No apologies. I just want to offer a closing word, and let me see if I can do this here. Of course, it's not letting me. Oh, there we go. The best uses of technology. Now I see myself in big screen on our Facebook Live. I just want to say again from Zion Lutheran Church in Deerfield Beach, Florida, we want to thank Ana Cristina Ojeda from Trustbridge. This is not the first time and not the last time that you will see her with us for a presentation. She'll be with us again November. I believe the date is the 19th.
I believe
On Thanksgiving, which is a presentation about gratitude, especially during the season of Thanksgiving. And I invite you also to check out our website for our Thanksgiving project that we're doing in the church, asking people what they are thankful for, and we're going to share that with each other. So definitely want to be a part of that. And for other opportunities, check out Trustbridge's website. Check out Zion's website. We're glad whenever you see this presentation that you took the time to watch all or a part of it. And for whatever it is you may need from either organization or either institution, we ask that you reach out. And again, thank you, Ana, for sharing with us tonight and taking time out of your schedule. We really appreciate it. And I'm going to go ahead and end this presentation so that I'm sure that the Facebook Live ends as well. This is our first test and trial with using Zoom and Facebook Live together. So
how many people joined the Facebook Live? Do we know?
I think it's an overall success. So it'll
Yay.
be out there, and I'll keep you posted on the reach that we receive. So I'm excited.
Awesome. All right.
But may God bless you in your work, and all those who are watching, whenever you're watching, may God bless you as you come and go, and those you love and those who love you this holiday season. So everybody have a wonderful night.
Thank
Good night.
you. Good night. Thank you for having me.